So a few days ago I was running legendary mission with my buddy in the live stream, and some of you might want to know what build I was using, right? So on today's video I'm going to show you guys what build I was using on legendary mission on a duo, and also I use this same build to run legendary missions solo. Now this build will work on legendary missions and also on summit, but personally I use it mostly on legendary missions, like for example the district union, because of the fact that you can funnel your enemies on legendary missions, and this build does a lot of damage to crowd enemies, right? It will do a lot of damage to multiple enemies at once, and that's where the beauty of this build comes. Now on summit it does work also, but personally I use my lone wolf build, that it works better for me on summit. You can check that out on my channel. It's called the lone wolf build. So on that legendary mission that me and my buddy did, we ran that mission on about 37 minutes, but that was like a chill live stream, so we were not really running for a speed run legendary mission. So we could, if we wanted, probably to run that legendary mission in about 20-ish minutes if you really wanted to, right? Because we did use the same build but with a little bit slight differential between the builds, because I know my buddy runs the build a little bit different from this, but with the same concept of mine, right? And it still works just fine for both of us. So with that said, keep in mind this is my template, this is my build, the way I run it. If you want, you can change it a little bit and make it work for you. So let me know all of that in the comment section below, what you would change to make this build fit your play style. So this is the build, but first of all let's talk about the specialization, because I have two specialization recommendations for you in here. Now personally I am using the gunner. Now the gunner is really good for me because I have this perk right here, which is killing enemies grants 10% armor, which I like. It has the perk that every third reload is 50% faster, and then we have the barrage, which rate of fire increase by 5% on kill for 5 seconds. Now majority of you, I would recommend going with technician, right? Now the technician will have a lot more to give on this build instead of gunner. Now first of all we have this one, the passive talent, that gives you a +1 skill tier. Now there is two skill in here that I'm using that I recommend, which is going to be the Crusader shield and also the assault turret. With that said, by adding one more skill tier, we will make those skills a lot stronger. Next we have the perk that will give us a 12% damage to drones, skill proxies and robotics. On legendaries you will have a lot of those mini tanks and doggies. This will help you take them down a lot easier and faster. And last but not least, we have the overclock CPU, which gives you a 10% skill damage. Remember, we're gonna be using the assault turret, that's gonna add a little bit more damage to that for it to kill faster. So that's the specialization. As I said, you can use the gunner or the technician. I do recommend for a lot of you guys the technician. I'm using the gunner, but I can always change to the technician. Now talking about the build, right? Let's check this out, guys. So we have Negotiator's Dilemma as the main gear set and what we're working around to make this build. So Negotiator's Dilemma is a gear set that's been in the game for a long time now, and it's all about damage and eliminating multiple enemies at once. So by equipping 2 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, you get 15% critical hit chance. 3 pieces gives you a 20% critical hit damage. Just those 3 pieces right there, that's a lot of critical hit damage that we're adding to the build, so we wanna work around critical hit damage on this build. Now the 4th piece, this is where the beauty starts. So we have hostile negotiations. Critical hits marks enemies for 20 seconds, up to 3 marks total. When you critical hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of that damage dealt. So whenever a marked enemy dies, gain 2% critical hit damage, stacking up to 20 times or until combat ends. So you see this talent right here, this is where things are gonna get crazy, because we can tag 3 enemies. Not only that, after killing a marked enemies, you always gonna get a 2% critical hit damage. That's gonna be a total of 40% critical damage we can actually get on Negotiator's Dilemma after the 4th piece. Now for the core attribute, we have weapon damage on everything that we have on the build, and then attributes gonna be the same also, critical chance and critical damage throughout the whole build. We're gonna try to achieve a close to 60% critical chance on the build, and everything else will dump it on critical hit damage. So very simple. That's gonna be for the mask, for the gloves, for the knee pads, and also for the holster. So moving from there, the next brand set on the build is going to be Ferris Group AB, because we're going to be using the assault rifle as our main weapon. So Ferris Group AB, by equipping one of them, you get a 10% assault rifle damage. The core attribute is going to be weapon damage, and attribute is going to be critical damage, critical chance, as I mentioned. So the talent we have as a choice will be Obliterated. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds, and then it can stack up to 25 times, which means is a 25% weapon damage increase to your build once you have the full stack. Now the last piece that we have in the build is going to be the new added piece, the Memento Exotic Backpack. This is what I did on the build to change the build, because before I had something different. I believe I had either the Grupo Sombra in here with the talent Vigilance, or you can go also with the Providence Defense with a talent Vigilance, and also there is the Walkers and Harris that will give you a 5% weapon damage with the talent Vigilance. Now in my case, the best option will be Memento, because Memento, without going too much in the talent, you will give you a straight up 30% weapon damage to your build once you have the full stack. You guys know I love this backpack, the Memento backpack. It is just one of the best backpacks in the game. I will add it on most of my builds just because it works so well. You have to, right? So the core attribute is going to be weapon damage, armor, and skill tier, as you guys know, and all of that is great for the build. As you guys know, the talent kill confirmed, you get trophies by killing your enemies. By picking up those trophies, you get 5% weapon damage, a 10% bonus armor, and a 5% skill efficiency, depending how many blues, reds, or yellows you have on the build. You get the most from the one that you have the most. The second part of this talent, right, you get a maximum of 30 stacks, and each stack will give you a 1% weapon damage, 1% skill efficiency, or a 0.1% armor generations for 300 seconds, which means 5 minutes. So that's a total of 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor generation for a 5 minutes timer that will help us get our armor back and get more damage to the build. So yeah, Memento, one of the best. I still use it. I just love it. Now from there, let's move on for the guns. The guns of the show that I'm using is going to be the Police M4, but one of the best assault rifles in the game that you can use is going to be the FAMAS. So if you want to use the best assault rifle in the game, I would probably say go with the FAMAS. I like the Police M4, one of my favorite weapons in the game, and this one is just a beauty because it is totally got roll. The talent will be in sync because we're gonna be using the shield and also the Saltore to activate, right? So in sync, hitting an enemy grants 15% skill damage for 5 seconds. That's gonna give us a little bit more damage to our turret. Now the second part of this talent, using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 15% weapon damage for 5 seconds. That's when you activate the shield, you get that 15% weapon damage, and also when your turret is hitting your enemies, that's another 15% weapon damage to your build. And then the last part of this talent, those damage will be doubled when you have both activate, right? So you're gonna get a 30% skill damage and 30% weapon damage to your build once both are activated. The way I have modded my assault rifle is gonna be crit chance everywhere, right? Because we want to get close to that 60% crit chance. So on the scope is gonna be 5% crit chance, on the underbarrel we're gonna get another 5% crit chance, and then on the muzzle a 5% crit chance. For the secondary, I'm using a weapon that I don't see much people using, right? I don't think I ever seen someone use this weapon before. It's the M1928. Is an SMG and it has a high base damage. Now the reason I use this because it works really well with Negotiator's Dilemma. Now there is another option in here that would say it's gonna be the AUG SMG. It will hit hard, also has higher damage, or you can use my favorite SMG, which is the SIG MPX. The talent on this SMG is going to be strength, gain 10% critical hit damage for every 0.5 seconds you are firing, stacks up to 5 times. So you can get a 50% critical hit damage with this talent with a slow RPM weapon, and that's why I recommend something with slow RPM to use the talent strength. So that's what I use for my secondary. So for the skills, we are using 2 specific skills. We have the Crusader Ballistic Shield because I do recommend this to help you out on legendaries, and plus it will activate your in sync. And then for the second skill, I'm using the Salt Turret. Now this one I use it for the specific reason because it will take the attention from your NPCs, right? So if you put it out there, it will take the aggro from the NPCs. Not only that, it will do damage, right? So it will do 2 things at the same time: take out the attention from the NPCs, and also it will do some damage to those NPCs. Now with that said, taking a look at the stats for our assault rifle, the Police M4, we're gonna have a 104,000 weapon damage, 50% crit chance, which is the minimum I recommend on this build. You want to get close to 60, not under 50. And then no critical hit damage, we have 148% critical hit damage. Now this critical chance, I will up it a little bit more once I optimized all my gear pieces, right? That's why it's only 50% right now, which is not bad, but I will get it a little bit higher once I optimize the build, and also critical damage also will go up a little bit. For the defensive stats, I only have 91,000 armor on kill out of 913,000 armor that I have on the build. That 93,000 armor on kill actually will add up and help me not use medkits often, and that's why I like using the gunner. Right now, keep in mind, because of the build that we're running, we're gonna be tagging 3 enemies and most of the time kill them at once, right? Or kill multiple enemies at once. So this right here will be times 3, so just keep that in mind. So it will be more armor on kill most of the time, and not only 91,000, right? And plus we have that 3% armor regeneration that we're gonna get from Memento. Also that's gonna give us some more armor regeneration. So they both will be a good amount of armor on kill that's gonna give us more armor. That way we don't waste the medkit. So that's why I like using the gunner, and that's why I like using the Memento. It gives me some more survivability. But yeah guys, that's the build. Let me know what you guys think of this build. This is my go-to legendary build on legendary missions, and yeah, it just works really well for me. As I said, this is my template. Let me know how you would build it around your playstyle and what you would change, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed, hit me with a like, I would appreciate. If you're new, subscribe for more Division 2 content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.